So Napoli has finally won the Serie A title. It's been a wait worth 33 years, and it's second longest ever in Italian football that a club has to wait for the coveted Scudetto after Roma, which waited for 41 years. Napoli's spell at against Udinese was delayed after it failed to secure a win over Salernitana in the previous round of matches. But yes, the title win has finally come, though it is not at its home, for which the whole city of Naples was waiting for it. They had the match scheduled specifically on a Sunday, but it couldn't happen on against Salernitana, but it finally happened against Udinese. So how did it essentially happen? In the 33rd game, Lazio won against Napoli, but Napoli thought its party had been spoiled after Lazio secured a win, because mathematically what the scene was that Lazio had to drop some points and Napoli had to win. But that didn't happen. Lazio won the game and Napoli came in, and it finished the title race with 80 points out of 33 games, which means the remaining 5 games, Napoli sits second with 64 points, and the maximum it can get is 79 points, which mathematically makes Napoli the winner. So we'll talk about how the changes happened for Napoli, a very special era for Luciano Spalletti and his boys. Spalletti was known for taking harsh decisions. He was not very kind with club legends, has never been very kind with club legends in terms of allowing them to prove themselves in front of youngsters. He had the similar kind of a spell with Francesco Totti at Roma, and when he came to Napoli, one of his strongest decisions was to show the door to some of the club legends. We saw Insigne leaving. We saw Koulibaly leaving for Chelsea. And once these players left, Luciano Spalletti started creating a squad with absolute youngsters. Victor Osimhen, who showed extreme amount of promise again, in the League One with Lille, was brought in shortly before he had arrived, and then came in Kvaratskhelia, someone who has been named as or deemed as the Maradona of Napoli in modern times. That's the attacking part of Napoli, to be very specific. Then we go into the defense part. We've seen Di Lorenzo as being one of the veterans in defense for Italy. Overlaps. Coming to overlaps now, that is something that Spalletti was very particular about. He was very witty in using Elmas and Irving Lozano along the right wing. Along the left, we had Maradona and Osimhen playing as the number 9 in the number 9 position. We'll come to Osimhen a little later as well, because what the kind of things that he has achieved as a youngster in Serie A has been astounding. We'll talk about the wings, where we had Maradona making runs. I'll call him Maradona because the kind of spell that he has, being a very cheap player in terms of value coming into the transfer market, and the kind of value he has delivered on the field is absolutely phenomenal. On the left, we had Maradona making the runs, and on the right, we had a rotation of Elmas and Irving Lozano. In this match against Udinese, we saw Elmas starting, whereas Lozano has been the right winger in other cases, where Spalletti has decided to mix and match the wings to keep the opponents guessing. Osimhen, on the other hand, has been the particular constant in the number 9 position. He has shown promise in the Champions League. He has shown promise in the Serie A, and in this match as well, he found the net, becoming the highest scorer highest scorer from Africa in Serie A. Osimhen's runs have been very difficult to mark for a particular reasons, because his sidestepping speed has been phenomenal. We saw a very a very astute defense. The Europa League winners, defending Europa League champions, Eintracht Frankfurt, finding it very difficult to mark him in the final third. And Osimhen exploited that particular region over and over again throughout this season. And with 46 goals, the number clearly shows the kind of dominance that he has in terms of his attacking prowess. Beyond Napoli, there is something very special happening in Italian football as well. There has been a rise of coaches, there has been a rise of managers, and the rise of Italian football teams at the helm of Europe. We'll be having a Milan derby after nearly 2 decades in the Champions League, and one team from Serie A will play in the Champions League final. So there are particular things when we talk about the rise of Italian football teams. We have 5 teams, and we cannot not talk about the special one here. 2003-4, we saw Jose Mourinho play, doing magic with Inter Milan. We saw him come in to Roma after a rather unfortunate spell with a rather unfortunate rift with Manchester United. And after he came in, he took Roma and won the UEFA Europa Conference League with a Serie A team. And that was one of the important junctures of the rise of Italian football. On the other end, we saw Atalanta with Gasperini showing a very counter-attacking style of football in Serie A. Coming to the conventional powerhouses, Juventus has been has had a rather unfortunate series of spells in the Champions League, and saw a reduction of a wide number of points when in the scandal plus Valencia scandal. But when we talk about the other teams, Inter Milan, AC Milan, these are the teams that were living in the past until the last 4 to 5 years, when they have seen a form of renaissance. They have seen the rise of new young strikers. Rafael Leao has been phenomenal for AC Milan. When we look at Inter Milan, we see Lautaro Martinez. We see Romelu Lukaku, who has been a complete outcast in Chelsea, prospering as the perfect secondary striker, providing through balls for Gosens to strike, for Lautaro Martinez to strike. So there has been Serie A has been a platform for players who have been outcast in the Premier League to find a position to shine again. It has been a place for managers to find a place to shine again. For example, we'll also stumble at Jose Mourinho in this juncture, because Mourinho was, he unceremoniously left a press conference shouting that I demand respect because I won 3 titles. So that becomes a very important thing to talk about, that it has become a place of renaissance for footballers and managers alike. We'll see Inter Milan and AC Milan fight for the Champions League crown in the semi-final, and we finally saw Napoli win the crown after 33 years. This is a new era of Italian football, and the wide difference between that era and this era would be the rise of youngsters from other countries, because Italian football has seen in some brilliant strikers from Italy coming up, with Alessandro Del Piero with Juventus. We have seen Federico Chiesa now rising with Juventus as well. But when we talk about youngsters from other parts of Europe, we talk about Leao, we talk about Napoli's Osimhen, who came from Africa and other parts of the world, and that becomes a most important talking point, because Italy is the Italian league has finally established itself as a league which is no more known just for its defense. It has a striker who scores 46 goals. It has a winger who nobody knew until he showed his magic in the city of Naples. And now that Napoli has gone on to win the title, it will be an absolutely perfect tribute for the team to lift the crown at the Diego Maradona Stadium. It's interesting to say that the last time Napoli won the Scudetto, it was with Diego Maradona on the field. And now that the legend is no more, it cannot be it cannot be more perfect for a team to embrace the Italian crown in a stadium that is named after him. Um, we'll be looking at much more illustrious chapters for Napoli and Italian football as the seasons go ahead. There are particular things that we can take away from this season. That is, from the next season, Italian football will be the hotbed for transfers. We'll see, multi-million deals coming in for Rafael Leao. We'll see multi-million deals coming in for Osimhen, and Kvaratskhelia had an offer from Guti where he said that if you're a fan, because the Georgian had once said that he's a fan of Real Madrid, and the former Real Madrid player had once said that I would send my signed shirt to the winger if he decides to move to Los Blancos. So, needless to say, that Italian football will be the hotbed for transfers in the upcoming summer, and it will be interesting to see how Spalletti, who allowed club legends to leave and create a whole new legacy for himself at Naples, how he starts creating a new team when these stars who established themselves as absolute legends at the club for this season, when these people leave, it will be interesting to see how Spalletti creates a fresh team that can again challenge for titles, because it's taken them 33 years, 3 decades of wait, 3 decades of patience, and 3 decades of hope. When the Serie A season resumes next time, then we'll see a new era of Italian football again rise with from the ashes of the players that will leave with memories into different teams across Europe. We'll be keeping you updated with everything that happens. The season is not yet finished for the other teams, though. We have Inter Milan, AC Milan, and Roma, Atalanta. All of them fight for Champions League football. Lazio is in a rather comfortable position and might quite clear the threshold to secure themselves a UCL spot. But the next four teams will have it really hard, including Mourinho's Roma, as the next round of matches begin for the last 5 matches in this season. We'll be keeping you updated with the matches as they happen. But yeah, today is, or rather tonight, is the night for for the people of Naples and the people to celebrate the success of a football story which had to wait for 3 long decades for the trophy to come home in Diego Maradona at the Diego Maradona Stadium.